Once upon a time, the GOP was the party that talked about the virtues of the free market and free trade.
We can dare to dream that at some future date, a map of the world might show the North American continent as one in which the peoples and commerce of its three strong countries flow freely across their present borders.
We must say to Mexico that we want you as equal trading partners, and that's good for both of us. So let's not listen to those who are trying to scare the American people, those demagogues who appeal to the worst instincts.
Members of both parties in Congress should view these trade agreements for what they are: an historic opportunity to strengthen our economy at home and advance democracy and prosperity throughout our hemisphere.
Then along came Donald Trump.
Globalization has made the financial elite who donate to politicians very, very wealthy.
Since the election, some polls have revealed that Republicans are far less likely than Democrats to support the concept of free trade. 57% of Republicans even backed Vice President-elect Mike Pence's assertion that the free market has been sorting the economy out and America's been losing. So have Republicans turned against free trade and even the free market? Or can it be chalked up to blind partisanship? We headed to Bakersfield, a farming and oil town in California's Central Valley that went 60% Trump this past election, to talk to Republican activists and Trump voters about trade, jobs, and Trump. What would you say are the main issues that motivated people to come out and vote for Trump in such high numbers here?
I think number one is jobs.
Central Valley is most people, they like the jobs.
Our business climate, our lack of jobs.
Jobs were clearly the concern for Bakersfield residents, and many felt that Trump's promise to renegotiate trade deals was just the way to bring those jobs home.
Renegotiating NAFTA to get a much better deal for America, and we'll walk away if we don't get that kind of a deal.
Do you think that free trade is a good thing?
Yes.
Part of what NAFTA did was eliminated tariffs between Mexico and the U.S. Do you think that some of those tariffs should be added back into the deal?
If he does it in the sense of what he said before, as a means to pressure the Mexican government.
I think that we absolutely have to have free trade, but we should also make sure in the process that American jobs don't get lost with an unfair trade deal.
I'm totally open to a tariff. If they don't treat us fairly, hey, their whole trade thing is tariff.
Trump's talked about, for instance, putting a 35% to 40% tariff on Chinese goods. Do you think that's a good thing?
Absolutely, I do. I think it'll encourage. I tried to do this thing a while ago where I went to Walmart and I said, can I find a product anymore that's made in America? And I tell you what, it took me till aisle 6, and that is a true story. It was a plate set, and it was 4 times as expensive as everything else. What we have to do is encourage these folks to come back home. And if that means spending a little bit more on that product, if it was made by your neighbor or yourself, and that's what we should do.
So you'd be willing to pay 4 times more for a plate set made in America?
That's a good question. Yeah, good one. Not 4 times. I think we should negotiate that, and with Trump at the negotiating table, maybe 2 times.
If you had to pay 30 or 35% more for your goods at Walmart, would that be worth it for you?
If it was made in America, yes.
Really?
Yeah, I would pay more for something that was made here because the person who made it put money on put food on their table.
Many of the people we talked to told us they would pay more for American-made products. And when Americans are polled, as many as 82% say they also would prioritize buying American over getting cheaper goods. But what they actually do tells a different story. One survey found that only 9% of consumers only buy American-made products. And when confronted with a real-world choice between $50 pants and the same pants made in the USA for $85, only 1 in 3 Americans choose the more expensive pair.
A lot of our stuff is coming from China. Like, for God's sake, freaking our flags are being made in China. A lot of them are.
What do you think is a bigger threat to manufacturing in America? Is it competition from foreign countries or government regulation?
Ooh. I think it's pretty equal.
So while Republicans have made a sharp turn against free trade, the attitudes towards the free market in general are a bit more mixed. Is the free market good for America?
Absolutely, 100%. The free market's what's made our country thrive. Competition.
But it's very clear that even some Republicans who claim to favor the free market still support the notion of Donald Trump as deal-maker-in-chief.
Do you think that it's the job of the president to negotiate deals with specific companies?
We've had a country for many years where folks are not, they feel like they don't have someone fighting for them on their side. So if that means having somebody step in and say, hey guys, let's not move our jobs overseas. Let's find a solution where you can make money but support the country that supports you.
Do you think that bailing out GM was, for instance, a good idea?
No, I don't think so. And I know that would resonate a lot with what he did with Carrier, but I believe if you look at the way it was done with GM, and the fact that all the high up executives, they didn't lose any money.
It seems obvious that for many American workers who voted for Trump, opposition to free trade and unfettered markets are sincerely held beliefs informed by the economic realities they face daily. The question is, how will this story end, with Trump elbowing out the free market conservatives in the GOP and the anti-trade Bernie Sanders wing of the Democratic Party ascending? Will there be anyone left in mainstream politics to point out that markets and trade give Americans more choice and abundance while stimulating innovation both in America and abroad? Or are we destined to find out the hard way what happens when goods stop crossing borders?